Alright, welcome. So this is lesson 4.2. So right, the header at the top, triangle congruence by SSS and SAS. So our objective is to prove triangles are congruent using these two postulates. Okay, so let's get at it. Let's get at our first postulate. Sure, you have that at the top. Our first postulate right here is going to be this. So write down everything inside the box that you see right here. Alright, so in lesson 4.1 we talked about how do we know if two figures are congruent. We said that they have to have three sides that are the same and they have to have three angles that are the same. Well, we have a couple shortcuts when we're talking about triangles, okay? So one way we can tell if triangles are congruent, means they have corresponding parts, is if the three sides of one triangle are congruent to the three sides of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So if I see that they have all the same corresponding sides, then I can say that those two triangles are congruent. I don't even need to look at the angles. So that's kind of one of my shortcuts as far as we call that side, SSS postulate. So make sure you have that whole box written down with the pictures, and then we would say that my two triangles are congruent. Remember, I have a corresponding spots when I'm listing the triangles. And the other one that we're going to talk about is our side angle side. So you're going to write down everything in this box as well. Okay, so our other kind of shortcut when we're talking about triangles is if two sides in the included angle of the triangle. So it's really important that you remember included angle. It's really important. If the included angle of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So if we look at this, if they have two sides that are the same, and this included angle, so all that means is the angle in between those two sides that are congruent. If it has it for both, then that triangle is what we consider congruent. So if it's a side, angle included, side, angle, side, the angle is in between the two, then those two triangles are congruent. So it's our nice easy shortcuts if we can remember those two. Okay? Alright, so let's get to a few problems that we have. Alright, so let's get to our first problem. Make sure that you write problem number 1. Write down all the information and then draw the picture as well. Alright, so we have this figure right here, and we are trying to prove that triangle LMN, this triangle down here, is congruent to this NPL triangle right there. Okay, and it gives us some information to start with that a couple of sides are congruent to each other. So remember, instead of proving that all 6 sides and all 3 sides and all 3 angles are congruent, we have a couple new shortcuts. We have our side, angle, side, and we have our side. We have those two shortcuts in order to prove that these two triangles are congruent. So what I would do is I would kind of think, before we try and do like our proof, let's think like, what information do I have? Well, I see that so far I have 2 sides are congruent. So I have 2 sides that are congruent. Well, if I can find out what this angle is right there, then I can prove side, angle, side. But like, I don't really know how I could prove that angle. It looks like it's 90 degrees, but I don't really have any information on that, and there's no real proofs that I can use in order to do that. So I can't use side, angle, side, but I can figure out that this side, the third side, I can make that, see that it's congruent. That will give me 3 sides. If I have 3 sides per triangle, then I can figure out that it is congruent. Okay, so let's do a proof. So we have our statements, and we have, let's write it out. We have our statements, and we have our reasons. Okay, so remember, first thing, I always write what's given to me. So I'm going to write number 1, I have that LM is congruent to NP, and it also tells me that LP is congruent to NM. Alright, and that was given. Alright, so we have, if I'm looking at this figure right now, I need three sides. I have this side and I have this side are both congruent. Well, this third side, 1, 2, 3, we see that they share the same line. So that line right there is that we could say that LN is congruent to LN. And remember, this is one of our new properties that we have. It's our reflexive properties. So we'd say that is our reflexive property. Alright, and then my last one. So now I'm thinking about this. What I like to do is, like in a different color pen, let's do like blue. I'm labeling, like, make sure and I have all the stuff. So we said here's one side that we said is the same. Here's another side, and here is a third side. So we have all three sides. So now that we have all three sides, we can write that the two triangles are congruent. So we could say that triangle LMN is congruent to triangle NPL. NPL. And so remember, I got to put the corresponding spots. So I have exactly right there. And then what can I do to prove that? Well, the side is a theorem, so we can use a theorem there, and we can just abbreviate and just write side, SSN. So side, and that's how we prove that those two triangles are congruent. Alright, so, let's do one more. Alright, here we go. Problem number 2, our last problem. So, all we're going to do in these 4 examples is we're just going to look and we're just going to try and identify whether these triangles are congruent or whether we don't have enough information to prove that they are. So again, remember, we can use our side or our side angle side. So those are the two that we can prove that these two triangles are congruent. So let's look at this first one. I usually like to label it right next to it. So I have a side angle side, and on this one it is also a side angle side. So remember, this matches, right? This is my included angle in between the two congruent sides. So we can say yes, these are congruent through our side angle side. So we'd say, let's just write congruent. I should just be congruent through our side angle side. Alright, B, when we're looking at it. Okay, I have side angle side. So look, that one matches up and that's good. But on this one right here, I have side angle. So remember, when it comes to this, if it's not in the same pattern, if it's not side angle side, this angle is not included in between those sides, then we don't have enough information to say that they are congruent. So we would say not enough information. So it has to fit the same pattern, side, angle, side, with that angle being included in the two. This one wasn't. It needed to be right here in this one in order for those to be congruent. And then we're looking at these two. Again, we can just kind of see that these both have three sides that are all the same. Side, side. And then in the last one too, I have the same thing. I can see that I have side. So in both of these, that I know these two triangles are congruent because it fits my side. These are congruent through my side theorem, and as well as this through my side. That is a congruent side. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thanks for watching. All right. See you guys soon.